Alright, y'all, welcome back to Final Boss Auto Hub. And today I wanted to have this interesting conversation about, the trend that I'm seeing in the auto manufacturing world today, or over the last couple months, I should say. And this conversation is basically, is the EV movement in the auto world no longer a thing? Now, hear me out. If you look closely, many different auto manufacturers are either quietly removing themselves from the EV sector or downsizing their departments. I believe the consumers like myself, the real gearheads, and just regular consumers are not fans of being forced into purchasing electric vehicles.
Get your hand out of my pocket!
In Europe, I know Europe was like one of the first to pretty much start banning combustible engines and basically forcing their automakers into following suit because the inevitable ban was going to happen. Unfortunately, I don't think that plan is working out so well all over the world. And here's why. Follow. Just keep up with me. I'm trying to put this thing together. Just follow me. Almost all auto manufacturers who develop or created the EV sector in their brand is pretty much taking heavy financial loss. The people are just not buying electric vehicles. And of course, there are many factors that go into this kind of thing, like, cars just being super expensive, especially depending where you reside. Let's get more into that. Like in the US per se, a new car, even with good credit, you're averaging about a 5% interest rate. And for a used car with good credit, you're averaging between a 7 and 8% interest rate, which is crazy. Like, that's super expensive. You're spending way more money than you should be spending in the first place, especially for a new or used car in general. I don't know what the logic is behind that, but those are the rates with great credit. Also, the cars are just exponentially more expensive than they were like 5 years ago. You have cars that were normally averaging 20 to 30,000 are now 30 to 40,000, and the cars that are 40,000 are now 50 to 55,000. And all of this is happening because of inflation that's going on in the United States. It had to do with the pandemic, with the chips, inflation. Everything is kind of working against that. And another thing is we just also don't have the infrastructure for EVs. Yes, there are way more charging stations in the United States, but you can't compare it to the amount of gas stations. Plus, you have that factor of the time it takes to charge. Some of them have 20-minute charging, 30-minute charging, or on average it's 30 minutes to an hour to charge, to get a full charge for your vehicle. So I think all of those factors kind of aid into why electric vehicles are not selling at the clip that they thought it was going to sell. And we could go even more deeper. Let's think about the auto manufacturers. I'm gonna name out a few and just, basically go through some of the things that they have been doing recently to combat this. Like Porsche will spend about $830 million to expand its combustible and hybrid engine lineup. This is happening because the Taycan sales plunged at 49%. And their Macan sold over 18,000 units. So they're seeing that although the EV sales are dropping, their combustible sales are still, selling at a good clip. So as sophisticated business people, I don't think you need a degree in econ to know that maybe we should go the route of combustible engines at this point in time, because the EVs are just not doing that well. I have to take a drink of water. And it goes further. Let's talk about Dodge. The CEO from Dodge, Matt McClure, basically stated that, for their new Charger, there will be powertrain variations and possibly a V8 if there's a line of business for it. Who are we kidding? Like, it's America. America is known for its V8 engines. And it's hard for me to sit there and see that they will not put a V8 in the new Charger, especially when they have the same market right now. People are still buying Hellcats, Demons, Scat Packs, Trackhawks, all kinds of stuff right now because that's what they want. They want the whining Hemi with the supercharger. They want the big V8 sound. And to be quite honest, the Charger, although it looks good, people are just not fond of the electric engine that's in it. You know what I'm saying? Yes, the numbers seem impressive, but people want a car with more soul in it. So I feel like Dodge is going back with this EV thing because they realize that their heritage is made with the V8. So to go ahead and try to kill the V8 automatically just for EV like this will do damage to the brand. So now they're thinking about taking a step back and bringing back the V8s. I'm not surprised. BMW basically stated that they have no plans to drop the V8 from its lineups, despite the pending regulations. And Frank Weber is a guy that works at BMW. He's a top guy there. He basically explained that there are markets in the US and the Middle East for V8s. Like you can't replace the V8s in these areas, which is true. America was built on the Ellis engines, the Hemis, the Coyote engines. These are all V8s that I'm naming, by the way. America was built on it. So to automatically go back and say there's not a market for it, I highly doubt it. So that's BMW's stance. And BMW still saying that they're going to delay uh, electrification. Although they're working on it, they're still going to delay it as much as possible. So this is good news from BMW. And VW and Audi, they basically were like the front runners. They were one of the first manufacturers to be like, hey, we're going to have a full electric EV lineup coming by year 2030. Clearly, that's not going to work out. They just came out as in the newspapers, especially over there in Europe, that they are thinking about pushing back their goals of having a full electric lineup at 2030 to 2035 because their sales are dropping. They're losing tons of money on EVs. They're not making any money on it, and it's clear as day that people want combustible engines. And they're basically thinking about reinvesting some of their funds back into their combustible engines and hybrid engine lineups and doing, how can I say, slight redesigns to their current lineup and re-releasing those cars because that's what people want. And as you can see, there's a trend that I'm pretty much showing here. Ford just last year closed down one of their EV plants because they lost $1.6 billion. Nobody's buying EV cars at the clip that they thought they were going to buy. Same thing with Chevy. They want to bring out another Camaro. They just released a new Corvette and people are hyped about it, especially the ZR1, the Z06. People are super hype about those V8 vehicles. And now they want to re-release a Camaro, but they're not sure where our administration, what the emissions will be. So it's kind of in limbo at this point. At this point in time, I should say. But it's showing that all the auto manufacturers I just named, which are heavy hitters, are pretty much pulling back their resources, killing their EV departments, or just downsizing and not building and producing them at the same clip because they're just losing too many funds. We could go in deeper into that right now. The Euro automakers pretty much approached the European Union and basically asked them to go back on their emission standards because at this point in time, they're hemorrhaging money building these EV cars and nobody are buying them. And they would like to start being able to build these combustible engines and not have to worry about these strict emission policies that will prevent them from furthering the technology and building the cars that they want to build. I have to keep reading. I don't know if there was any rendering that came out from that. Maybe it's still in limbo. But I know most of the European auto manufacturers approached the European Union with that rhetoric. And in America, we have a new administration who is not as green as the previous administration. So there's already talks about rolling back the emission standards to what the previous administration had it at, which was the Barack Obama's administration. So, which means we will still have some standards to follow, but it won't be as strict as it was over the last 4 years. And honestly, I think something could come out of this. And let me explain. I think, in my honest opinion, I think all the auto manufacturers should kind of follow what Porsche is doing. Porsche is investing $800 million in their hybrid and combustible powertrain and drivetrain lineups, I should say. So basically, they're just working on building more combustible engines, building more hybrid engines, And I think if you go that route, you can kill two birds in one stone. You can give the gearheads like us and myself what we really want, which is combustible engines with soul. And you can give the administration the appeal by building more efficient vehicles that are that saves more fossil fuels, less population, also still making the planet greener. And I think if you go that route, you will just basically check all the boxes from what the consumer and what the administration of your rightful country wants. So that's my opinion. I believe we should start going more into the hybrid powertrain while still developing EVs and combustibles, but our main focus should be the hybrid area where everybody is getting what they want for the most part. Um, and to be honest, I think we're just 20 to 30 years away from having full EV lineup cars due to infrastructure and what people really want. You have to gradually bring people on. You can't go from combustion to bow EV. No more car sound. You got to sit down at a charge station for 30 minutes. You got to hope you're near one, opposed to going from full combustible to a little bit less combustible to more hybrid, then EV eventually. And by then we should have the infrastructure to accommodate everyone. So those are my opinions on this topic, I would love to hear what you guys think. I'm not sure if people was really following that this is what's going on. Like, if you really look at it, almost on a weekly basis, you hear that different automakers are pulling back their resources from EVs and focusing on more combustible and hybrid powertrain vehicles. So, I would really like to have this debate with people. Let me know what you think. Let me know where you think we should go in the auto manufacturing world, what you think is better, combustible, hybrid, EV, and tell me why. I would love to debate it, and maybe you might be able to change my stance, who knows? But I would love to have that conversation. But, thank you for showing up. That's enough of my TED Talk. I do have more videos coming out. I'm trying to at least drop 1 to 2 times a week, and over the last couple weeks we've been doing so. And thank you for the returning people who keeps coming back to the channel. I appreciate it. I like the debates we having. Let's keep it up, and let's just keep growing from there. All right. So thank you for tuning in. Final Boss Auto Hub is out, and hopefully I should have this video out to you guys soon. Catch it.